Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's live trading action video. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Today's date is Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Well, folks, yesterday in the video, the previous day in the video, I talked about the no-brainer buy on Uber. In fact, we bought it in the research center at $36.95. We sold today. I talked about my target being this big gap fill. Look at what it did. Went right there. We ended up taking an 11% gain in basically 2 days on this trade inside the research center. It was a beautiful one. It was very easy to do. I love sticking it to the institutions, as the institutions, all the ones that got shares ahead of it coming public, paid $45 a share. We bought it at $36.95. I hope a lot of you guys paid attention. I raved about this on Twitter, buying it there. I posted it in these videos. I talked about buying it at this level, 37 and below in these videos, and you can see the result today, an easy $4 gain to the upside from where we bought it. Okay, so that was awesome. A couple things I am looking at. So, a couple things that I'm just kind of curious. So, markets obviously are up today, reversing early losses after Trump postponed putting tariffs on autos from Europe. So that's a nice thing right there. Again, it kind of helps the situation, at least not spread from just China. So the trade war with China is nasty. It's gotten nastier in the last week after we saw it fall apart, the discussions fall apart. But again, at least as of today, it's not spreading to other countries, around the globe. A couple other things to go over. So I'm watching a couple stocks. One stock I'm curious about, a little too scared to buy any shares on it, but earnings today on dry ships. You can see the stocks at the dead lows down here. One thing that's kind of intriguing to me is that if you look at FRO, which is another shipping company, look at these charts. I mean, this chart this is an amazing move. And look at the last 2 days, this run up. DSX isn't quite as amazing, but it's still, look at the run on this all the way back up here. And then you look at dry ships, and it's at the dead lows. So again, I have no idea what it'll do on earnings, but I certainly think that considering a lot of the other shipping stocks have done very, very well lately, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it gets at least some sort of bounce up off of earnings, considering it's trading down. I mean, look at where it's trading. It was above $7. It's now trading below 4 at 383 right now. I mean, that's a big fall. That is a big, big fall just since the beginning of the year, especially with the markets not far off of their all-time highs. So worth keeping an eye on there. I do think that's worthwhile. I also wanted to mention on KHC. So KHC is a tricky stock. It's been pounded. It's trying to form some sort of base here. The chart to me isn't a screaming buy at this point, but I do like it longer term. I do think they can do a turnaround in the company. Remember, Warren Buffett owns a hefty portion of this. But what caught my attention today is that the January 2020, so basically next January, the calls, the 32.5 strike calls, someone bought something like 5,800 call contracts at I think 265 today. That's a lot of money, folks. That's over $1.25 million in call options for KHC. So what it looks to me like, they're not banking that it's going to pop in the next few days, but what they're thinking is that there's going to be some sort of continual grind higher into year end. And again, that would be, I mean, if imagine if it just fills this gap. I mean, those options will be a fortune. They'll make a fortune on that if that's the case. And again, who knows if it does? But it did catch my eye. And I just wanted to pass that information along to you. A lot of people get excited about 100 block of call options or put options. Someone buys 100 or even 500. But it's more to me. I mean, when you see thousands of contracts going off, like a block of, in this case, it was a block of 2,000 and change and a block of 3,000 and change. I mean, that's not Joe Schmo doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be a pretty big investor to be doing that, because the amount of risk in options is humongous. So, if you're going to put well over $1 million at risk in options, there's something, you obviously have some sort of inside view that maybe the public doesn't have yet. And I usually like to pay attention to those. So again, just wanted to pass that information along to you guys. Interesting today, we had Alibaba earnings this morning. The stock is actually having a very good day, up $5 on the back of that. I think there's a little bit more upside on Alibaba to these moving averages, and then it'll run to resistance. My guess is on the S&P. So if we bring up the S&P here, let me just do that right now. for you guys. Let me bring up the SPY. There you go. So the S&P, I think there's a little bit more upside. There's a gap fill right here. This is my guess of where we're headed before the next leg down comes in. So you're looking at around 288 and a quarter. So that's still a little less than $3 more. I mean, it's not a bad move up. Once we get there, I think the market runs into a lot of resistance. On the QQQ, which is having a great day, same thing. You have a gap fill right at 185 Pierce, which is about $2 higher from here. And again, that's my expectation, is that we'll head up there before we start to see some heavy selling come back in. And again, I know the markets look great today, and they were able to hold a decent amount of their gains yesterday, but I'm not in the camp that thinks the selling is over yet. I think the buy the dippers are still eager to jump in, and now that the markets are up 2 days in a row, it'll probably lead to another little update tomorrow, getting us to those target levels. But I don't think it will last. I think retail. There were some retail sales numbers today that were not good, folks. So the average American seems to be pulling back a little bit, and the question is, will it lead into potentially recession-ish type situation, or at least a slowdown in growth? And again, is that going to be perpetuated more by the tariffs and the trade war and all that stuff? And I think the fact that we're hearing about it so much, and there's so many tweets about it from Trump and so forth, I do think that does wear on the mentality of average Americans. Even if it doesn't have a direct impact, you just naturally want to say, wait a minute, what is this going to do to the economy? Do I need to kind of save a little bit more money for a rainy day? That's the question, right? So again, we'll find out and keep an eye on things, but I am curious about that. Let me see what else is going on here. I think there was one other thing I wanted to share with you guys, but now I'm losing my train of thought. Interesting, the Russell today is only up a little bit, only up about 48 cents. That's small caps, so they're lagging. But again, great job for those in the research center on Uber. We made a nice score on that for just 2-day hold of about 11%. I'm seeing Intel bouncing today. I mean, pretty much everything bouncing today very nicely, and we'll follow it into the end of the day. So, guys, bottom line is, come join the research center. Again, think about this. You could have made 11% on Uber while the institutions are still down hefty. They're still down $4 from their buy, and we just made $4 on the long side. Not many people. You can tell anyone who joined that trade with me gets to tell their friends they made a good profit, 11% profit on Uber. Their friends will be like, "You did? How the heck did that happen?" But ultimately, you just have to know where to buy, and that's what our signals tell us here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Come join us at InTheMoneyStocks.com. See you soon. Take care.